If you're white, you're guilty. You're guilty for everything that's ever happened throughout human history. Doesn't matter what it is, you're guilty. Blame Whitey. The blame game. So I have an article for you here at Fox News. This is by Hannah Grossman. This came out today because we have a Michigan school board member who is claiming that whiteness is evil, faces backlash for divisive tweets. We'll find out if whiteness is evil or not. But she went on to say that white people are more dangerous than animals. A Jackson County school board member, Keisha Hamilton, faced backlash for tweets blasting white people during a public comment on Tuesday, including one resident who called her angry and bitter. The tweets shared by libs of TikTok show the Michigan school board member stating, quote, "These white women are the stupidest," and calling whiteness an evil. So not only is she calling white people evil, she's going after women. White women. I thought women were a minority in the society. I thought women were being trampled on. We're being used as sex objects. Not getting equal pay in the workplace. But this is what libs of TikTok posted at Twitter. School board member of @JP Vikings has a history of making racist comments. She says whiteness is evil and causes trauma, calls white people stupid, dangerous, and difficult to be near. This person is responsible for the education of thousands of children. Now that's just scary. You have somebody who's supposed to represent all of these kids in this particular school district, and she's coming out and she's making a comment like this. Shame on you. Whiteness is so evil, it manipulates, then says, "I won't apologize for my dishonesty and trauma-inducing practices," and thinks you should applaud it for being honest about its ability to manipulate and be dishonest. Huh? Hashtag deceitful, hashtag perfidious. Ooh, she used the word perfidious. Perfidious. She also claimed that white people are more dangerous than animals. Quote, "The last thing you have to worry about is an animal, though that could be a very real threat. More dangerous are any whites you may see on the trail. Be safe," she said in December. When Fox News Digital reached out for comment, Hamilton said whiteness defined as white racialized identity, which refers to the way that white people, their customs, culture, and beliefs operate as the standard by which all of the groups are compared. Well, hell, I got a little news for Miss Keisha Hamilton. Let's take a little trip back in time, shall we? During World War II, 600,000 Italian Americans, or Italian nationals, were screened and surveilled by executive order. The Japanese, the Italians, the Germans, they were interned. In fact, a lot of these German or Italian nationals, we'll throw the Japanese in there as well, had to report to their local post office. They had to register with some type of office in their local community. And German Americans had their dogs kicked. They were beaten in the streets. The Irish, if you go back to the 19th century, were portrayed as monkeys on posters. Yeah, so it was not an easy time for certain groups in this country. I'm not going to deny that we had slavery. We did have slavery. But you also had Native American and black slave owners. You had Irish, Scottish, Asian indentured servants. It was a much different world. Now, I'm not trying to justify what happened in the 19th century with slavery. But unfortunately, it is a part of human history. It's not unique to the United States because slavery goes back to ancient China, Greece, Persia, Rome. Quote, whiteness is a construct, a normalization with a foundation in which white supremacy is normalized. This whiteness with the foundation of white supremacy are the murder of George Floyd, the massacre of black residents in Buffalo, New York, the attempted kidnapping of Michigan Governor Whitmire, the attack on our democracy on January 6, 2021, inconsistencies in our criminal justice system, etc., etc., etc. Did I say system? Our criminal justice system. So because of these inconsistencies in our criminal justice system, And January 6th, and George Floyd, you're to blame. Whitey's to blame for all this. What does slavery have to do with George Floyd? Slavery was abolished in 1865, Miss Hamilton. The George Floyd incident took place in 2020. The attempted kidnapping of Michigan Governor Whitmer, well, that is an isolated incident. It has nothing to do with slavery. You have a couple of goons that wanted to kidnap a governor. Plain and simple. The attack on our democracy on January 6th, I just love that. It all goes back to January 6th, Trump, George Floyd, you name it. Because of racism and slavery, white supremacy. The danger of being in the... Oh, this is good, because I'm going to show you a glaring example up here of where she's wrong. The danger of being in the woods tweet refers to the challenges black people in the United States continue to face when attempting to establish and protect their right to freedom of movement. The United States has a long-standing history of efforts which are aimed at keeping black people from enjoying freedom of movement and restricting them from entering spaces that have been racialized as white. Well, did you know that they denied German Americans property during World War II? The Irish in the 19th century? Barred them from getting certain jobs? Irish need not apply? And what about Leland Stanford in California? In 1862, before the California state legislature, he called the Chinese an inferior race. But here's this glaring example of where she's wrong. We had this incident in Atlanta. These Defend the Forest protesters who got into a firefight with police because the Atlanta PD wanted to set up what they called a cop city, this training facility in the woods. They were going to clear some woods, create this cop city. The city council voted on it, but residents really didn't have a chance to vote on it. So one of these goons, one of these protesters, decided to shoot a state trooper. Without reason, no warning, just shot this state trooper. Well, guess what? The cops fired back. And this protester, he was shot and killed. So now they want to protest. Tonight they want to have a night of rage in Atlanta. And they put up a tweet calling for retaliation. Twitter took it down. Just did a video about that. And they've got video of this. The person they arrested in this video is white. This protester was white, caught in the woods. The danger of being in the woods. Well, don't be a protester shooting at a state trooper from the woods, you dumbass. During the public comment portion, thank you for letting me rant here. During the public comment portion, I'm having fun today, folks. Let's get back to the article. Let's get serious here. This is serious news, by the way. During the public comment portion of a January 17th meeting, some took to calling out Hamilton, as reported by MLive Media. MLive Media. I'll get it right today sometime, I'm sure. Quote, someone in her influential position must be held to a high standard. She must be a representative for all students in the JPS system. Amen. A parent named Gina Hastings said. She also said that Hamilton is angry and bitter. Quote, her racist comments should not be condoned. How can all kids feel safe when physical characteristics over which they have no control are being called evil and dangerous, Hastings said. So should I go around and maybe call Asians evil, or call Hispanics evil, or call blacks evil? Because if you go back to the 1970s, at the time that John Lennon was writing this song, imagine you had the Chinese government killing people in China. You had blacks enslaving other blacks in Africa. What was going on in Cuba during the Cuban Revolution? 1959, anybody? Fidel Castro? who, by the way, burned books, took down some statues, and also went after a lot of these authors who were LGBTQ. Another speaker, Jackie Leslie, said, quote, "You are not addressing the disparities, you are adding to them by your hurtful remarks. Your words are not unifying our community, your words are dividing our community." Exactly. How can you unify a community if you're going to keep making comments like this? A diversity, equity, and inclusion specialist, Maisha Jones, said Hamilton's comments about whiteness were taking aim at systemic racism and not white people. Well, please define systemic racism, because a system has to be set up by somebody. It just doesn't exist on its own. So you're going to blame systemic racism? Or are you going to blame white people? Some speakers spoke out in support of Hamilton. Quote, "Whiteness in the system, the ideology, the belief, the thought that because your skin is white, you are superior to black people," she said. "Because your skin is white, you deserve better. Because your skin is white, you have better opportunities." Well, sweetheart, let me give you a little newsflash here. That ain't always the case. Okay, I've been laid off from jobs before. When 9/11 happened, I got laid off working for a company. In fact, our entire department got laid off, 100 people. And guess what? We had blacks, whites, I believe a couple of people who were Asian that were working for us. Came down to the bottom line of what the company could afford and what they couldn't afford. But it just really frustrates me that people go out there and they make these blatant statements. You know, going by something that may have happened in the 1960s, i.e. the Civil Rights Movement, or something that happened in the 19th century. Yes, those things happened. They existed. They should have happened. We shouldn't have had busing riots in 1974 in Boston, but we did. Human history, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Human history is what it is because human beings are flawed. That's just the harsh reality. The best we can do is learn from our mistakes and move on and be better people, regardless of who you are. Why do you think I harp on this idea of anti-censorship? Because I don't want a composer like, let's say, Florence Price. I don't want her music being kept in the dark. I don't want somebody like Shostakovich being censored in Russia. I don't want to see books burned or statues taken down. That's why I harp on this issue of anti-censorship. I don't give a damn what your skin color is. I could care less what your ethnicity is. If you got something good artistically to bring to the table, let's see it, let's hear it. Because you took your time to create that piece of music or whatever that piece of artwork was, or let's say you wrote a book, you took the time and effort to create whatever it was you're trying to put out there on the market, and it deserves to have a chance to be heard, seen, or read. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you know what to do. You can also find me at Instagram, #JasonComposes. Do I say find or follow? I can't remember. But either way, you can go to Instagram, #JasonComposes, because I write music in my spare time. You can also follow me at Twitter, Culture Confederacy at Twitter. This is the Culture Confederacy saying, peace out, stay safe, everybody. God bless this thing we call the United States. And remember, this is how we do it here, keeping the past alive by crashing with the present. I'll catch you next time. Have a great weekend.